Every great sports dynasty has a moment when it all falls apart. A single game, a single decision, or a single event can change the course of history. For the Houston Astros, that moment came in the 2019 World Series. They weren't just a great team, they were dominant, feared, and seemingly unstoppable. A front staff that had established a contemporary baseball superpower, a team full of all-stars, and a pitching rotation capable of shutting down any lineup. They had already taken home a title in 2017, and by 2019, it seemed as though they were about to establish a long-lasting dynasty. But baseball is unpredictable, and in 7 grueling games, the Astros watched everything slip away. They weren't just beaten, they were exposed. And what happened next ensured that this team would never be viewed the same way again. This wasn't just another World Series loss. It was the moment that changed everything. Let's go back to 2019 and break down the World Series that shattered a dynasty. To understand the impact of the 2019 World Series, we have to go back to how dominant the Houston Astros had become. Houston was the finest baseball club at this point, not simply another contender. With their combination of strong hitting and outstanding pitching, they dominated opponents and won the 2017 World Series. And they looked much better in 2019. They finished the regular season with 107 wins, the most in Major League Baseball. Their lineup was a nightmare for opposing pitchers. Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman, Carlos Correa, and George Springer could all change a game with one swing. Every at-bat was dangerous, and every inning was a potential explosion of runs. And then there was the pitching. The Astros had Justin Verlander, a future Hall of Famer. They had Garrett Cole, one of the most dominant pitchers in the game. Then came the New York Yankees in the ALCS. The Yankees were always a threat, but Houston handled them too, winning the series 4-2. By the time they reached the finals, the Astros were heavy favorites. They had the home field advantage. They had the talent. They had the experience. Everything pointed to another championship. But baseball doesn't care about expectations. On the other side of the field stood a team nobody expected to be there, the Washington Nationals. A team that, on paper, had no business beating Houston. But baseball isn't played on paper, and the Nationals were about to prove that. The Washington Nationals had a completely different journey. Unlike the Astros, they weren't seen as favorites. They weren't even expected to make the playoffs. At one point during the regular season, they were 1931, a team that looked like it was going nowhere. Fans had written them off. The media barely talked about them. But something changed. Led by veterans like Anthony Rendon and young stars like Juan Soto, the Nationals found a spark. Their pitching rotation, anchored by Max Scherzer, Steven Strasburg, and Patrick Corbin, carried them through a historic second-half comeback. In the wildcard game, they first surprised the Milwaukee Brewers. Then, in the NLDS, they shocked the Los Angeles Dodgers, a talented squad. People began to pay attention after they defeated the St. Louis Cardinals in the NLCS. But the Astros? They were different. Houston had everything the Nationals didn't: experience, depth, a history of winning on the biggest stage. Nobody gave Washington a real chance. Then Game 1 happened. The Nationals walked into Houston and stole the first game, 5-4. Just like that, the series had a different feel. Then, in Game 2, they didn't just win, they humiliated the Astros, beating them 12-3. Houston was in trouble, but like any great team, the Astros fought back. Game 7, one game to decide everything. Months of grinding through the regular season, weeks of battling in the playoffs, and now it all came down to this final night. For the Houston Astros, this was supposed to be a coronation, the final step towards cementing their dynasty. They had home field advantage, their ace on the mound, and a 2-run lead heading into the 7th inning. The script was written for them to win. Zach Greinke had total control from the first pitch. The seasoned right-hander was keeping the Nationals' batters off balance by painting the corners and varying speeds. This was their night, and the Minute Maid Park crowd knew it. The Astros were 9 outs away from winning another title with a 2-0 lead. The trophy was being prepared, the champagne was cooling in the clubhouse, and the supporters were already standing up to celebrate. Then, everything came apart in a flash. Anthony Rendon was in the forefront. The Nationals' third baseman came to the bat with 1 out in the top of the 8th. He was given a pitch he could manage on a 1-0 count, a changeup that hung just a bit too much. Crack! The ball rocketed into left field, clearing the fence with ease. Suddenly, the Astros' lead was cut to 2-1. The tension in the stadium shifted. The once deafening crowd fell into a nervous murmur. One run wasn't a disaster, but the momentum had shifted. Then, Greinke walked Juan Soto, putting the tying run on base. Jay Hinch, the Astros manager, had a choice: trust his veteran ace or go to the bullpen. He went with the bullpen. Hinch pulled Greinke, a decision that would haunt him forever. Instead of trusting the pitcher who had been dominant all night, he turned to Will Harris, a reliever who had been reliable all season. But baseball doesn't care about past success. On his second pitch, everything changed. Howie Kendrick swung and sent a deep fly ball toward right field. Time seemed to slow down as it curved toward the foul pole. It could go foul, it could be caught, but it wasn't. The ball bounced into the stands after colliding with the metal pole. A home run. The Nationals suddenly seized a 3-2 lead. It startled the Astros. Houston supporters sat in stunned silence. In a matter of minutes, the side that had dominated for over 7 innings had lost everything. But the Nationals weren't done. They smelled blood. They tacked on another run in the 8th inning and 2 more in the 9th, turning a tense 1-run game into a 6-2 rout. The Astros lineup, once so feared, had no answer. The Nationals' bullpen shut them down, batter after batter, until finally the last out was recorded. Just weeks after the World Series, a bombshell report changed everything. The Astros, the team that had built a reputation as one of baseball's smartest and most innovative teams, had been caught stealing signs illegally during their 2017 championship season. A former Astros player, Mike Fears, exposed the scandal. He revealed that Houston had used cameras, monitors, and trash can banging to relay stolen signs to hitters. It was one of the biggest cheating scandals in sports history. The fallout was massive. The Astros were fined $5 million. They lost draft picks. Their manager, A.J. Hinch, was fired. Their general manager, Jeff Luhnow, was fired. Players were forced to apologize, but fans and other teams never forgave them. All of a sudden, Houston was more than simply the 2019 World Series losers. They were the squad who won the championship in 2017 via cheating. It ruined their reputation. The once seemingly unbeatable dynasty has fallen apart. After the dust settled, the question remained: could the Astros ever come back from this? Losing the 2019 World Series was devastating, but the real damage came from the scandal that followed. The cheating controversy didn't just stain their 2017 championship, it made every future success questionable. No matter how good they were, no matter how many games they won, people would always ask, are they still cheating? For the next few seasons, the Astros became the most hated team in baseball. They were continuously jeered by the opposition supporters whenever they took the field. Pitches were thrown at players by teams. Anger and ridicule erupted on social media. They were now viewed as frauds, rather than as a fantastic squad. The thing with baseball, though, is that victory has the power to alter everything. The Astros continued to play well in spite of the controversy. They won the American League in 2021, advanced to the 2020 ALCS, and took home another World Series in 2022. They demonstrated that winning without cheating was still possible. Did it alter their reputation, though? Not at all. Even in 2022, when they won the championship fair and square, people still brought up 2017. The stain never fully went away, and that's the real tragedy of this dynasty. The Houston Astros should have been remembered as one of the greatest teams of their era. They had star power, elite pitching, and a front office that changed how teams approached analytics. But instead, their legacy is complicated. Yes, they kept winning, but they never escaped the scandal. They never fully regained respect, and they never became the true dynasty they were supposed to be. So, while they recovered on the field, the bigger question remains: did they ever really recover in the eyes of baseball fans? The Houston Astros were supposed to be the next great dynasty. They had the talent, the championships, and the winning culture. But in 1 week, it all changed. They were beaten on the field by a Nationals team that refused to quit. Then, they were exposed off the field for cheating. Baseball has seen plenty of champions, but few have fallen as hard as the 2019 Astros. So here's the question: can a team ever truly recover from something like this?